Well, a very, very good afternoon and welcome along to this week's Light Bite Lunch on the 1st of August. We're just having a technical problem there, so just bear with us for 1 minute and we'll be right back. All right, that seems to be okay now. We're having a little bit of a technical issue. We seem to be solved now. So a very good afternoon, as I said, and welcome to this week's Light Bite Lunch. It is indeed Thursday, the 1st of August. It is just after 1 p.m. So if you are watching it on playback, unfortunately, any comments during the show we won't be able to include. But if you would like to comment as we go along, by all means, feel free to do so. So this week we have a slightly different format to the show for you. I've recently been asked, I've been working on budget submissions for the upcoming budget, and I was asked to make submissions on behalf of micro businesses. And I was asked what's involved in preparing a budget submission. So I'll take you through that over the next little while. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and join us for a Light Bite Lunch. Good afternoon. There we go, all back to normal, thankfully. So you're all very welcome, whether you're watching on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or indeed through the StreamYard community, which we now broadcast on as well. We're delighted to have you with us. So when it comes to preparing a budget submission, firstly and foremostly, as everyone knows, the budget is coming up in October. Ministers' chambers and Lieutenant who are already working on the figures. All the different ministers of the different departments are making their submissions. And interested bodies also have the opportunity to make a submission as to the areas they feel needs looking at. The main items I'm going to talk about today are the ones that impact on micro businesses. So while the submission we make will look at social welfare and all the different needs of charities, etc. Primarily what I'm going to focus on today is generalizing the issues surrounding micro businesses. And of course, if you have any comments to pass or anything you would like to see included in that in the longer term, by all means, you can email us at lightbitelunch@gmail.com, or you can drop a comment here in the show. Or I'm sure a lot of you watching already have me on social media, so you can get in touch with me through the various social media channels as well. And if it's something that is viable to include, I'm certainly happy to do so for you. So firstly, to explain about micro businesses for anyone that may be watching that doesn't know the extent that micro businesses make up in Ireland. Micro businesses are very much the backbone of the Irish economy, making up approximately 92% or 250,000 businesses in Ireland. Despite the fact of their critical role, quite often they're forgotten about. So, for example, when looking at taxation, the schemes can be very convoluted, or applying for grants, it can be a very slow, drawn-out process. And one of the things we'll be talking about is simplifying those. But the four key areas that I'm going to talk about today that have huge impact on micro businesses. is health, housing, employment, and of course, taxation. If we can get even some of what we're seeking implemented, it will certainly be a huge, huge help to micro businesses. So, firstly, I want to quantify in Irish law what is recognised as a micro business. To qualify as a micro business, there are 3 criteria, and once you can say you meet 2 of those 3, well, then you qualify as a micro business. The three criteria are that your turnover does not exceed 700,000 euros in a 12-month period, that your balance sheet, the assets you hold within the business, don't exceed 350,000, and that your employee numbers are less than 10. So once you meet any 2 of those 3 requirements, you meet the qualification as a micro business. Micro businesses play a pivotal role right across the country, but particularly in rural communities. Your local shop, your local farmer, these are all micro businesses and all very, very valuable to the actual communities themselves. Micro businesses also contribute extensively to employment in the local economy. So they provide unique products and services, quite often overlooked by the much larger brands. Their agility and adaptability makes them essential for economic resilience. As I said, our submission aims to have a little bit more thought given to the micro entities out there, because they are very, very important and they are such a crucial part of everyday life here. So let's start off looking at health. What types of challenges do micro businesses face in health? Well, firstly and foremost is the high cost of healthcare. Right. So if they're looking for to put health insurance in place for themselves or for their employees, these costs just seem to be growing and growing. And I would love to see a program put in place in conjunction with the healthcare companies, who obviously are there to make money. They're not there as a charitable or as a charitable organization. But I would love to see a plan put in place to put a simplified plan for micro businesses in place, making it more affordable and more attractive, so that we can try and get more micro businesses signed up. So whether it's going to be a government subsidized healthcare plan specifically for micro business owners, or it's a case that one of the big players comes along and says, you know what, this is actually an untapped market and there could be an opportunity here. Right, love to see that, but would also like to see, as micro business owners take so many huge, huge risks, I would absolutely love to see an opportunity where additional tax credits could be given towards health costs and that type of thing, specifically aimed at micro businesses. Then if we look at mental health supports, as any micro business owner will tell you, being a sole trader, being a solo entrepreneur, being a small company owner can be extremely stressful, because you're all things to all people, and at the same time, you seldom get a chance to switch off. Even when you go on holidays or whatnot, your mind is still working. So what I would love to see is supports put in place for micro businesses when it comes to mental health. So whether that's a case of a recommendation that small business owners should seek a therapist who can understand what it's like to be in business and whatnot. Not saying there's anything wrong with them, but more so just to have a sounding board and have a time blocked off where they're forced to switch off every week and focus on them rather than focus on their business. A great example of this, there's a wonderful company in Dublin called Inner Voice, Inner Journey, who are, again, a micro business. Their chief therapist is a retired accountant, so he understands business and all of that. And he has, over the last 12 months, been putting together a plan specifically along the lines that I'm talking about here. And it was quite bizarre because we had spoken about it previously. I had spoken to him previously when he was asking, was there a need for this? And now, having spoken to him recently, actually to hear the uptake has been really good. Again, programs like this can be costly. So if there was some sort of supports available, right? And yes, Maggie, I think absolutely agree with you that a therapy plan for business owners is exactly what is needed, and something that is specifically designed around the needs for businesses. But what I would also like to see is that the government actually create funded awareness plans and programs for training people in mental health and about the importance, even mental health first aid within their business. Are they sure their employers aren't overly stressed? Are they sure they're not letting themselves become overwhelmed? Because, again, running a business is a very, very difficult thing. I would also love to say that health and safety procedures in general are simplified in relation to micro businesses. Whether you are a business with just yourself in it, or you have 1,000 employees, the health and safety regulations are exactly the same. The health and safety compliance requirements are exactly the same. And again, I'm not asking for it to be watered down, but I'm asking that where micro businesses are concerned, the amount of form filling and whatnot be simplified, whereby you don't need to have an escape route for 100 people if there's only going to be one, maybe two people in an office. So I'd love to see simplification on things like that. Another thing I think would be most interesting and a most worthwhile exercise if the powers that be could do it, because they would have access to the records, is an actual comparative healthcare cost and look at the outcomes based on the individual costs for micro businesses, not just in Ireland, but also the EU and the world in general, because I think, again, it would be very, very worthwhile to see exactly what it is that's on offer around Europe. Is there a best practice there that we can take and we can say, do you know what, we can actually work with this and we can make this happen? So before I move on to discuss housing, I just want to make a quick mention about this. Yes, indeed, it's hard to believe it's August already and the awards are only around the corner. And of course, this is the final month for people to get their votes in the People's Choice category in. It is super, super close. I checked there just before we came on air, and between the first 8 businesses in the People's Choice category, there is a total of 11 votes between first and 8th. So it's going to be really, really close. It's going to be exceptionally tight, and it's going to be most interesting to see who the top 5 finalists are. We will be announcing who those finalists are early in September, ahead of the finals in October. But if you would like to come along to the finals, there are still tickets available. And what your ticket gets you, when you arrive, there's drinks reception. We'll have a few words from the local Lord Mayor is joining us. Of course, there'll be the all-important valuable networking. Anyone coming along can also bring up pull-up banners and put them up around the room on the night to further promote their business. We will have the jar raffle, we'll have the awards presentation, and of course, we'll have the sumptuous meal. So it will be a really, really outstanding event, and it'll be one that we hope everyone will walk away from feeling, I really enjoyed that. Over the years, we've had a number of people have come back year on year and keep coming back because they enjoy it. And most importantly, on the night then, after we've presented all the winners, we will announce the details of next year's 10th Micro Business Awards, which we're going to look at doing even bigger and better than previous years. So it'll certainly be a great night, and there will be special discounted tickets available for the 10th anniversary show on the night. All of this is available to you at the very good value of €90 per ticket. The final date is the 26th of October, and the venue is the beautiful surroundings of Knightsbrook Hotel and Trim. So it really is an exciting night, and as I said, it's very relaxed, and there'll be plenty of opportunities for networking when we finish, when we all head down to the bar to relax and enjoy ourselves. Now, another comment from Maggie there. It'd be nice if there was a recognition that micro business owners find it difficult to go to training, especially during the day. With new digital updates and AI on the way, we could do with funded online or evening training. Yes, absolutely. And I do know that I spoke recently with Leo in Leitrim, and they are looking at a number of evening and weekend courses on things like that. But it's something I think certainly would be worth including, Maggie, in our overall proposal. So I'll keep a note of that, and we'll add it in then afterwards. Just to say, by the way, I don't want to bog people down in figures and whatnot. Like, our submission will have a range of costings and whatnot for all these different bits and pieces. But to try and keep it simple for the show today, I'm not going to bog people down in what it would cost to do this and the cost benefit analysis or anything like that. Moving on then to housing. High housing costs and limited availability stock can make it really, really difficult for micro business owners and potential employees to find affordable accommodation. This can lead to increased living expenses and commuting times, negatively impacting work-life balance and productivity. So our proposal is developing affordable housing projects specifically for small business communities, and provide rental subsidies for micro business owners and their employees. I'm stopping short of recommending actual rent caps, as my own opinion on that is rent caps won't solve the problem. A lot of these landlords are accidental landlords. They have huge mortgages on the properties that they still have to meet. So I don't believe that looking at going down the route of capping rents or that type of thing is a workable solution. I believe there are much better and alternative offerings available that should actually be available and should be looked at. But I also think the opportunities for remote and flexible working need to actually be enshrined in law. During COVID, we had great success, whereby we had outstanding success with people working remotely, and it went down really, really well. And following on from COVID, a lot of businesses said, you know what, we can make this work going forward, and carried on with the flexi. More and more businesses are now calling that they want their staff back in the office. Is this a productivity issue? Is this a business decision for the sake of the business? Or is this a decision of, well, actually, no, we want to see what they're up to. So even though their productivity is keeping up, maybe we can improve on it if they're actually here on the shop floor. So things like that. I'd love to see wider development on that, faster rollout on broadband, etc. I think all of that is stuff that needs to be looked at and needs to be kind of said, well, hold on, what else can we do here? Again, offer incentives for property developers when creating affordable housing options to actually build in integrated workspace. So to build in somewhere a space that is saying, yeah, you know what? Let's have this is a designated office space. Let's have the internet cabling there ready to go. Let's have the phone lines there. So that we're saying to people, yes, you can live here, you can work from here, right? And again, as I said, increase the rollout in broadband. And I don't mean just bog standard basic. We have fibre rolling out around the country. I'm delighted to say that here in Ballinamarr, we actually got our fibre in last week. So all is going well there. But also, there's a total support fund to assist micro businesses in experiencing housing. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is, as a sole trader, as a micro business, if you decide I want to buy a house, it is so difficult now. If you are in employment, they ask you to bring how much did you earn last year, evidence of what you earned the previous year, and a letter from your employer stating this is what your basic earnings are going to be this year. And based on that, they can figure out this is how much of a mortgage we can give you. As a micro business, they want to see your last 3 years of accounts. If you happen to have gone the route of being a small company owner, they then want to see the limited company's accounts, which again have no bearing on your suitability for a mortgage because of the fact that that money belongs to the company, that money doesn't belong to you. So, like this, the process for micro businesses has to be simplified and has to be brought whereby there is a fairness to it. Yet again, we see that micro businesses are being penalized and are being told, well, you're the risk taker, etc. So maybe you're too big a risk. Again, I'd be interested to see another comparative study from around Europe in terms of micro businesses around Europe. How difficult do they find it obtaining credit to purchase a home? Right, as a business owner would certainly be one I would have an interest in seeing exactly what the studies say, and would certainly like to hear from people if you have any other ideas of ways to obtain this. Again, certain countries around Europe, home ownership isn't a big thing, right? You rent and you basically move in somewhere that you rent, and you're going to rent that for 25, 30 years, right? And that is the scheme that some places use. Is it time that Ireland starts taking that view and we start looking at these much longer term contracts, giving safe and secure housing to people, and say home ownership isn't the be all and end all of it? But there's no point where somebody is told, yeah, you have a 12-month lease, you have a 6-month lease, and 6 or 12 months later, you're in the same position again. If a little bit of surety could be brought to the housing market for micro business owners and their employees, again, it all ties in. It'll help with the mental health. It will help with the productivity because they'll be better able to focus. So when it comes to employment, the challenges are many. The costs are constantly rising. We're hearing this morning that the talks are that next year's minimum wage is going to increase to $13.50. And while that doesn't sound like a huge jump, in the overall scale of things, when you add the PRSI, when you add the pension contributions that are compulsory from next year, when you add all of these things on, I genuinely fear we are going to see a large amount of micro businesses either lay off staff or close up totally because the cost is going to outweigh the benefit. When you are establishing taking staff on, you have to see a return on their work. So in other words, if they are costing you 35,000 euros per year, they need to be generating nearly 100,000 euros worth of business by the time all the associated costs are taken out of it. And that is a huge ask. And if you're driving up the cost of having them there, you're driving up their targets, you're driving up prices, and you run the risk of pricing yourself out of the market. I would love to see the 4-day week introduced. It has been trialed very, very successfully. I have heard nobody come back and say, we tried it in our company and it didn't work. There was no loss in productivity. So you do 4 longer days and you produce actually better results when your staff have better opportunities for time off. I would love to see policies that support flexible working and remote working arrangements. At this moment in time, it's very much in the laps of the gods as to whether or not a company does or doesn't allow. I would love to see people say, do you know what? We're actually going to bring in legislation saying, yes, we are going to allow flexi working. And you have to allow your staff at least 2 days a week work from home. Now, again, that is not going to work for every single business. If you have a garage and you have 5 mechanics in it, it's not going to be viable for them to work from home. Absolutely. But where they are office-based, there are certainly opportunities. There's certainly opportunities there to go to the 4-day week and to promote more remote working. And again, one thing that did come out, and there is already an EU study on this, that people's mental health when they were working from home, because of the improved work-life balance, actually was better. Now, unfortunately, equally, there are studies of people who never actually switched off when working from home. So as opposed to saying, okay, that is my day's work done, computer has gone off, and I will deal with everything else tomorrow, they were inclined to work longer, and they were never actually switching off. So it is a balancing act. There are arguments on both sides, but it's certainly something I see an incentive in looking at. Again, the taxation on employees ties in with the whole taxation on micro businesses in general. It totally astounds me that a company turning over 10,000 euros a year goes through exactly the same level of scrutiny and summarizing of accounts as a company turning over 2 million euros a year. I would love to see a simplified format of accounting. Right? Again, targeting specifically micro businesses. I would also love to see a dedicated micro business support unit. We know that the multinational companies can pick up the phone to a dedicated person within revenue and say, what can we do to remain compliant while minimizing our liabilities? Why is this not available to micro business owners? Yes, you can call customer service, but generally they don't have a specific answer for you, or the answer is, well, if that's your interpretation. So let's actually make it whereby there is incentives. Let's all be honest, we all know Ireland is a fabulous place to do business. Look at the amount of foreign direct investment we get every year, but equally we have to watch how easily that foreign direct investment can disappear. So we need to focus on the micro entities that have been there through good and bad, who fight to keep the doors open week in, week out, month in, month out. Right? VAT, there should be, again, a specialized VAT rate for micro businesses so that there's an opportunity for micro businesses to have simplified returns. Unfortunately, the clock is actually running out on us. But all in all, again, as you can see from what's I've compiled so far, we need comparisons with what's happening around Europe. Let's see what they're doing. Let's pull some of those best practices and make it work. We need to get out there and we need to support micro businesses. And most importantly, we all need to be looking after our mental health. Well, the clock has run out on us for this week. We will be back in 2 weeks' time when I will have another guest, and we'll be talking about more things micro business. And until then, I would say to you all, have a lovely afternoon and enjoy your Lite Bite lunch.